You know, lately, I've been fooling around with last generation's consoles and just completely uninterested in this generation's consoles like the PS5 or the Xbox series. Playing through Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled on PS4 and doing some Smash Brothers and Mario Party with friends on Switch every once in a while has been great fun, but recently my mind has been focusing on something these systems seem to lack. I've realized something about the PlayStation, the Xbox, and even the Switch. There's something about these consoles that barely give me any incentive to turn them back on, and for quite a while I've been trying to put my finger on what that might be. So I've stayed away from the emulators for a hot minute, wiped the dust off of some of these beauties, and went back to some of my favorite consoles of all time. And now, I think I found out exactly what these current consoles seem to lack. Personality. Now, video game consoles are quite the investment. A single console can shape a person's childhood. A great example in my case is the PlayStation 2. It stands as my favorite video game console of all time. But what about it sets it above all the consoles that I've owned before and after it? For me, it's the fact that the PS2 feels like more than just a hub for your game library. It's more like an enigma, an experience. The hardware itself doesn't exactly tell you much, but then again, it doesn't really need to. All it is just a simple box and presentation. Not too much flashy stuff going on other than all the ridges that are going on the side and the gradient logo. And the PS2 Slim does even less. I mean, hell, it's not even that much bigger than maybe your baby sibling's iPad. It's such a little thing. It's kind of cute. But that's because it's not too much about the looks when it comes to this machine. It's about when you press that power button and realize that there is such a thing as a real-life nut button. That boot up screen is one of the biggest things I'm talking about in this video. Every time you boot up the console, this is what you see, and it gets stuck in your mind as a result. It's one of, if not the first thing that you see in every single one of those 2000s nostalgic compilation videos. The boot up of a console has gotta be memorable, and the PS2 is something that I will never forget as long as I live. And to compare this beauty to its younger brother, the PS4, I mean, honestly, I have no idea if this is a hot take or not, but this thing has hardly anything going for it. I mean, hardly anything. It's just a white PlayStation logo suspended in darkness with no noise or sound or jingle of any kind to accommodate it in the background.
Say, fellas, did somebody mention the door to darkness?
Just silence until it starts up the profile selection and starts playing this boring copyright-free sounding airy guitar, and it's just ugh. I'm sorry, but this doesn't have all too much personality to me. It's kind of comparable to just having a Roku TV just kind of sit there in the background. Wait, hold on a second. I think I know how to fix this. Damn, that is just so much better. I will say that the dynamic themes that you can find on the PlayStation Store are very much a redeeming quality for the PS4's otherwise lackluster UI. Ultimately, nowadays, if we just strip it down and keep it bare bones, oh my god. Ultimately, nowadays, if we just keep it bare bones and just leave it as is, then I'm only just going to speed run through Profile Select and just pick whatever game I'm going to be playing for that day. There is no putting down the controller and admiring what's going on. I mean, hell, even the PlayStation Classic had a UI that just reminded everybody that the PlayStation 1 had more personality and memorabilia than the Spider-Man machine over here. Okay, maybe I'm getting a little too disrespectful on the PS4 over here. It's really not that deep, but it's kind of hard not to get on the PS4's case when it's clear that even the PlayStation 3 established more identity. A simple little symphony while taking you straight to the profile select was cute and straight to the point. Again, to remind you, the PlayStation 4 doesn't even have a little jingle or a little symphony. It's just straight silence. It only starts making me miss orgasmic boot up sounds like the PlayStation 1. Now that's a sound that could shake an entire neighborhood. Closing my side of the PlayStation stuff, I just miss the smaller things like in the PS2 where little things seemed to connect, and it almost felt like you were thrown in an entirely different dimension. Going from this browser menu where you see all these little lights just kind of dancing around like they have their own little rhythmic life to them, swirling right down into the abyss, or having towers depending on how many games you have and how much memory you have of them. The towers also vary in height, all being a visual representation of what you have in your memory card, and finally bringing you straight into the game of your desire for that day with a little... Oh wait now, hold up. The PlayStation 2 tells time? This clock is looking mighty beautiful, Chief. Oh wait, there goes my memory card. Whoa, hold on, look at all of these adorable little icons. All representing my taste in video games. And wow, they really liked using this old Rayman model. I swear they used it for like every Rayman game that wasn't rabbits. Oh wait, that's right, I own that too. Oh, and I can't forget to tell you about the special rare occasion that you could be brought to hell? Ah, shit. Yeah. We're in hell. To be honest with you though, the PS1 wasn't exactly holier than thou either. If you manage to piss off this beautiful little gray box, it'll haunt you greater than your copy of Silent Hill ever could. Welcome to what the internet has dubbed Fearful Harmony. Hey, what did I do? Please, just tell me. I'll make it right, I promise. Just please make it stop. Alright, that's enough of me being a PlayStation head. Let me start talking about the Nintendo side of things. Now you see, I love Nintendo. When it comes to building their brand, they have their shit together. Mostly have their shit together. First-party games for the consoles are mostly solid and show that Nintendo is always pursuing polish. That can also be seen in the presentation for every console that Nintendo has ever put out, giving them each their own brand, life, and personality. Now if you ask me, the Switch had the same level of promise. It's always been marketed with this adorable little clicking sound representing the Switch's Joy-Cons. However, that promise gets Thanos snapped as soon as you actually press the power button on the Switch itself. The fuck is this? I feel like I'm operating a Windows tablet. No music or ambience like the Wii or the Wii U. No, seriously, it's just dead in here. Yeah, this is just a perfect example of how the current generation consoles are nowadays. There's really not much to them, other than just the standard format of looking like the next Android OS, just being nothing but an empty husk of a machine to stick your video game in. Nothing about this makes me feel like I'm holding a Nintendo product. Hey, but at least it has a dark mode. I guess that counts for something. Compare this to some of the older Nintendo consoles, and you'll find that they had ways of making their older consoles feel like they were part of the family. Let's start with the Nintendo 64.
It's me, Mario!
Oh, that's right. I guess I'm stupid. I just totally forgot that the N64 didn't really have anything. Kind of just booted up whatever cartridge you put in the damn thing. Well, believe it or not, there is still something to go off of. Back when the Nintendo 64 tried to incorporate discs with this dinky little add-on, it did come with an admittedly cute boot up of the N64, and depending on if you didn't have a disc in there, a model of Mario from the 64 game will pop up and do various tricks and just mess around with the logo. You see, now this is adorable. I can practically hear the Charles Martinet voice clips coming out of him when looking at this. I gotta admit, the GameCube has always been a freaky little weirdo to me. While the initial boot up is iconic and will always be remembered, looking any further into the UI of this machine brings out its almost creepy, warped nature. There's something about that sound that seems so unnatural to me, but it does come back around with this ambience that kind of comforts you and makes it a little less bizarre. This little cube, though, it's just kind of there. It's suspended in nothingness, and I just can't help but say that it's nothing but bizarre. You do got a lot of things to look at though, like the memory card, certain data, and whatever games the cube detects that you put in. I love the theme that they got going on here with having mini cubes spawning and circling around and forming into different things that correlate to whatever you're looking for. Honestly, the GameCube over here just felt like another example of how this generation of games made you feel like you were in an entirely different dimension. I gotta admit though, I do like the fact that you can mess around with the controller ports, and when you boot it up, it'll give you alternative sounds. Isn't that shit cute? I like to imagine that the GameCube represented larger-than-life things coming out of small packages. I mean, just look at the size of this thing. It's about the size of a regular lunchbox. They gave us all of this. Now let's take it a step above with the good old Nintendo Wii. A cute little machine abused by its gimmick of motion controls with shovelware so shit that literally anybody would advise you to stick to the first-party games and literally avoid anything else, aside from maybe the Virtual Console. Now while the Wii's game library wasn't terribly good for its sales, the console itself seems to embody the home family console that Nintendo type... Oh, cut! Can't get any of my lines right. And I'd be a terrible actor. While the Wii's game library isn't terribly good for sales, the console itself seems to embody the family home console that Nintendo is stereotyped of making. I started off this segment with the Wii Home menu, honestly because it's so engraved in my brain. For good reason though. It's super chill and really brings a homey vibe to this angular box. And whenever I hear this music in the background, I can't help but think of all of the Wiis that I've seen underneath the living room TVs. And speaking of TVs, the Wii really likes to circle itself around themes of television, what with the options on the home menu being CRT-looking screens with various things you can customize on your menu. And if there isn't anything there, it's just TV static. Now I love this, it's super charming in my opinion, and I feel like I haven't seen it for any other console, especially afterwards, and it's one of the biggest things that give the Wii its personality. As if it didn't have personality already, what with the other things that you could do with the console other than just play the games. Miis are these beautiful little guys and gals that are like toy representations of yourself. That or whatever abomination you decide to create. I swear though, without fail, it feels like every single Wii that I've seen has had a Jesus Christ me in it. Each Wii channel being accompanied by its own song is a nice touch as well. That is when they're not being completely memed on. The Wii overall is one of the best examples of a console having a personality and life of its own, even if it does have a dark past of gimmick abuse.
Show the one to Orton with the midget with the jelly beans. No, wait a minute, wait.
Ah yes, the Wii U. I never owned one. Yeah, I'm being serious. The only reason that I ever wanted to own one was because of Smash 4. And even then, it wasn't much of a reason for me to actually grab one. But after some adventures of Smash 4 and a little bit of Nintendo Land whenever I would go to my friend's house, I had the opportunity to get a little good look at the Wii U's UI. And that definitely wasn't a tongue twister. And honestly, I think it fits quite well with what the Wii U was trying to accomplish, which was essentially Wii New Console Plus. Still the same wholesome vibes as the Wii, and carried over to the U, just a little bit modernized, turning the TV channels more into apps that you'd find on a tablet. I mean, hell, the damn thing looked like a big-ass tablet, and if you're having it look the part, then why not have it feel the part too? Honestly, I think the biggest step forward here is the activity going on with the Miis surrounding your channels in the game library. All the little Miis that are a mesh of your Miis, the Miis that are built into the system, and your online friends list. A lot of them often discuss the games that they're surrounding and how they feel about them, and others seem to just flex their artistry. But look at you, all talented and shit. Honestly, I feel like the personality that radiates off of the Wii U is due to the community for the time. A lot of the features the Wii U had really brought out the talent and the cool vibes out of the Nintendo fans. And that, to me, means so much. Even if I didn't own a Wii U, I got to see how dope the Nintendo community really was through this lens. That alone tempted me even more to pick one up eventually. It's almost too bad that there's not much of a purpose to getting one, considering that most of the important games from its library are part of the Switch anyway.
Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing in that Snuggie?
Sir, going blanky mode.
Now the Xbox One? The fuck is this? This looks like Windows 8 took the 360 to their penthouse and they freaked it. This is one ugly baby. I can't even begin to tell you how to navigate this shithole. At the very least, the 360 feels like an evolution, for the fact that it at least put a focus and a spotlight on all of these features that brought on the online community. Xbox Live was a hit, and you can really feel that with all of these Nintendo Me knockoffs, and all of these other features that encouraged online multiplayer. So yeah, I apologize if I don't have much to say about those two in particular. If you do, if you want to leave your own video essay in the comments down below, by all means, I actually genuinely encourage it. But I'm gonna leave it at that with those two, and that's the bottom line. Now let's talk about the OG Xbox. You know, the really good one. I love this crazy box with this big X symbol on it. It's all just super alien and super goofy, but in like the most charming way possible. I can definitely tell you the experience of this console with a single word: extraterrestrial. I remember the days of lockdown when people were invading Area 51. Honestly, the original Xbox looks like a product of what you would find during that invasion. The OG Xbox bases itself off of very alien machinery, if you could tell based off of this boot up screen. A lot of the color green, but not for nothing. It honestly just looks super cool. Like, during this recording, I've just been staring at this on a loop for hours. Okay, maybe not hours. Maybe I'm getting a little, maybe I'm just getting a little tired. Seriously though, look at this. A lot of the features on the Xbox, when you take the games out of the equation, makes this box look a lot more like the Dreamcast, like being able to listen to the music that you put on this thing. The transitions between going in and out of these options in this menu make it seem like every option you have is held in this top secret database. Doesn't have a cool clock like the PS2 though. Let's talk about some of the spooky things that this console holds. Now personally, I never experienced these things in all of my years of owning the original Xbox. I mean, I did use my PS2 and my GameCube more often than I did the Xbox, but granted, it wouldn't be until so many years later that through YouTube, I discovered that this little green bean machine was holding some pretty dark secrets. Hey yo, what you say about my mama though? These transmissions were crazy. It felt an equal amount of foreboding, eerie, and just straight up illegal to listen to. Not gonna lie to you, I feel a little anxious talking about it, so let's kind of badly segue into the next one. I mentioned Dreamcast before, didn't I? Sometimes, when you keep it simple, it can be beautiful, and Dreamcast is a perfect example of that. Such a small console with a simple design, yet it packs a punch with its game library and the power for its time. I actually feel like the Dreamcast has the most distinct personality out of the bunch. I actually think it could be summed up as taking the shape of a little kid's dream. Everything from the menu buttons to the logo font being incredibly stretchy, bouncy, and colorful. With clouds and water rippling all over the place like we're in the skies. And outside of the OG Xbox, I don't think there's as much effort put into the looks and feel of other console menus in comparison. And like I was talking about before with the original Xbox, you do have the option to put in your own music CD and start playing your own music. Like, right on, man. Where's my copy of Ray of Light from Madonna? The Dreamcast really has its own distinct feel, and it's a look that the most nostalgic part of your brain just can't get enough of. Also, I got the feeling that this is part of the Dreamcast personality as much as anything else. Yeah, man, you go, bro. Hey, man, it's loud, but it's like a loud and proud, you feel me? Respectfully, I don't want to go on too much about the handhelds. Most of them just have a cute little jingle and then just go on with the game that you throw at it. Like most of the Nintendo consoles. Like most of the Nintendo consoles, the Game Boy Advance and the DS are legends just for their boot up sounds alone. But not much else is built off of it if you don't count the hilarity and the stupidity of PictoChat. The PSP is what I would describe as a bizarre in-between period of the PS2 and the PS3, where it was trying to accomplish the processing power on par with the PS2, while also having the bonus media options of the PS3. I still find that it has a charm of its own though. Fitting the old XMB menu of the PS3 on this little guy really shows just how much this thing is capable of. But then you actually start up a game and... yeah, I still don't really know how I feel about that sound. I find that I have some sort of weird fond nostalgia for the sound, even though I never really liked it as a kid, and I could never really explain why that was. Probably said too much here. Hey, we all love the PSP, but let me remind you of this little fever dream. My disappointment is still immeasurable. PS Vita was most definitely a symbol of times changing as the iPods and the iPhones were just completely taking over the fucking planet. You know, back in the days when it was a magical thing to have a touchscreen device of any kind, Sony really wanted to capitalize on this market, especially when old Steve Jobs hit the trillionaire status off it. And so with the power of hardware that can make almost PS3 looking titles, Sony instead decided to make the successor to the PlayStation Portable look like a fucking play tablet. Not even a good one. I'm being so honest, I'm looking at this and I wouldn't even give it to my kid if I had one. Seriously, this bubbly icon dragging mess is something that I don't even like to look at for too long. It's such poor user interface design. With the way that they programmed it, dragging the screen across, up and down, left and right, doesn't really feel intuitive in any way. I mean, after all, it's a game console, not a smartphone. The fact that the game and media icons are this bubble shape and shift around kind of makes this look toyish, and it really doesn't do it any favors. But hey, at least it's got Uncharted Golden Abyss, and Tearaway, and Gravity Rush, and Persona 4 Golden, and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Actually, Chad, I think Sony were cooking. Nah, but if we want to talk about Sony bringing back a portable system, please, for the love of God, just don't let it be anything like the PlayStation Portal. I need a genuine PSP 3, Sony. Come on, man. And well, that's about it for me today. I've mostly covered the consoles that have stuck out in my mind from my own personal experience with them. So if there's any consoles that are just burned into your memory that I missed out on, please let me know in the comments below. Maybe, just maybe, oh, Knuckles, you son of a bitch. And maybe, just maybe, I've helped you guys see through my point of view when it comes to all of these current gen consoles and just how void of life they seem in comparison to some of the consoles we've talked about today. I'm really not trying to be pessimistic when I make this video. I just really want to bring attention to how much of a blank slate some of these consoles can be, and that it really is just a simple fix. All you gotta do is just put a little sauce. Like, the consoles need sauce again, man. Like, we need it back, man. We need it back. We need personality back into our consoles. And this was the importance of console personality. Anyways, I am The Crow, and that was the show! Thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble on about console UI. If you're chronically nostalgic like me, why not hit the like button on this video in particular and consider subscribing? Because odds are, I'm going to be covering something you remember fondly in the near future. But until then, later.